Welcome to week 8. We're beginning a new unit, the review essay, chapter 5. Thank you so much for the hard work you put in for the previous unit. I want you to bring everything you learned from that unit into this very new one as well. So our agenda is we're going to officially introduce the review essay. What exactly is it? And what are the expectations? And we'll go through some invention. So you guys are going to get a combination of content as well as a chance to do some brainstorming. So our learning objectives are here. These are the same learning objectives from the first page of chapter 5. So you can revisit these learning objectives. These are the things we're going to master by the time we get to the end of this particular unit. So we're going to use reasons and evidence to support a judgment about something's value. We're going to identify criteria behind a judgment and determine their relevance. We're going to identify the characteristics of different forms of the review, including academic application. We're going to use invention and focusing strategies to determine or to discover and develop a review essay. And then, of course, we're going to apply revision strategies that are effective for shaping reviews. So you guys are writing a review essay where you evaluate a subject of your choosing. There is a full assignment sheet that is waiting for you in this very unit folder. So be sure to review the assignment sheet. There's a rubric that's attached to that assignment sheet. It gives you the entire breakdown of what the expectations are and how you will be evaluated for this essay. All of the expectations are there for you. Follow the steps and the procedures and this will be fine. So when we talk about the qualities of evaluation, you have to have defined criteria. Criteria equals standards. Make sure you write that down for yourself. When I use the word criteria, I'm just asking you, what are the standards by which you are judging or evaluating the thing that you are judging or evaluating? What are the standards? How are you doing it? But beyond just criteria, you have to have reasons. Why do you feel what you feel? You have to have some evidence to support these claims, right? We just can't make opinions or go on some sort of rant. We have to have some evidence to serve as a foundation to support us. We need to be able to make some sort of comparisons from the subject that we are evaluating to something else that the audience can have some sort of connection to. These comparisons must be based on criteria. You should have a clear judgment. It shouldn't be sort of in between or sort of a milquetoast type expression. You should have a clear judgment, be it positive or negative. And the thing that you're reviewing and your review in and of itself, it should be something that the audience cares about. What's at stake for them for having to, pay attention to your review? What's at stake? Now, when we talk about criteria is the reflected, generally agreed upon principles that are necessary to evaluate that subject. So in order to have something to actually write about, you have to have established criteria for the topic you're evaluating. It's not good enough to say that something is good or bad. We need to know why based on a set of standards. Okay, we got to have those standards. So, for example, if we were to think about a movie, we, are all familiar with movie reviews. So there's criteria specifically set up for when someone evaluates a film or a TV show. This criteria is going to be different than if you were evaluating a restaurant, obviously. So the standards by which we evaluate a film would be some things like theme, plot, acting, directing, cinematography, originality, etc. You get the point. So you want to start off by making a list of prominently, widely recognized standards for judging your subject. These that you see on the screen that I just went through, these are universally accepted standards by which you can judge a television show or a film, right? So these are not just made up out of your head. These are generally accepted. So what established criteria will you use in order to evaluate the subject that you eventually choose? Your criteria should be relevant, right? It should be relevant. Not all topics get the same criteria. So just think to the example we just looked at with a film. Of course, you evaluating a film or reviewing a film, you're going to use a different set of criteria based on the subject. So again, if you were evaluating a restaurant, obviously it would have a different criteria. But criteria should be so relevant, it should be so specific that even if you are looking at something in maybe the same category, you still have to be able to break it down and be so specific that your reader is understanding what the standards are to such a infinite degree that it is clear and they won't be lost. So what I mean by that is this. So you may have two movies, right? But they're different types of movies. They're in different categories, almost like subcategories. So for example, you could have The Fast and Furious 7, right? That's a film. And versus The Notebook, which is also a film, but they're two different categories of film. The Fast and the Furious series, it's all about adventure, it's all about action, it's about explosions, and of course, fast cars. The Notebook is a love story. It's dramatic. It has, some tragedy involved in it. There's no explosions, there are no fast cars, and nothing, is really based on sort of like this visceral action, right? There are no action scenes. So even though they're both films, you have to think, well, this is a different category of film, so my criteria is going to be different. The same for a television show, The Big Bang Theory versus The Walking Dead, both TV shows, but different categories. And then a fine dining restaurant versus a fast food joint, right? You have different expectations, so the criteria is going to be different. So make sure that you are being really mindful about selecting criteria that's relevant and specific to the category that you are focusing in on. Continuing on with criteria, it should be clear. Your audience, your reader shouldn't have to guess, well, how is the writer actually judging this thing? How are they evaluating? What are the standards? It should be really clear. Your criteria should also be realistic. What do I mean by that? So, for example, if we were to go back to my Fast and Furious example, if I said The Fast and the Furious, based on, all things considered, my criteria is the greatest action movie or the greatest movie ever made. Not even action movie. It's just the greatest movie ever made because of the cinematography and the explosions. Well, that's not very realistic, and you may lose some credibility because no matter how successful the film is, it's not the greatest film ever made. Maybe it's one of the most effective action films ever made, but it's not the greatest film ever made. Really going up against films like The Godfather, Citizen Kane, it's not the greatest film ever made, but it is very effective in the category or subcategory of action films. So make sure your criteria is realistic. And of course, criteria should be measurable. It's cool, it's dope, it's all of that. It's the business is way too subjective. We have to make sure we have criteria. How are you judging this particular topic that you're writing about? So we got to make sure that we spend some time with criteria. So what I want you guys to do now, we're going to get some practice setting criteria. Grab a sheet of paper and a pen or pencil. And what I want you to do, because you've done this process before, you just probably didn't know what it was called. So we are going to set criteria. Now this is just our practice. And when you do make your choice on your actual topic that you're going to be writing your full essay about, you'll do the same thing. So we're just practicing. So you have 3 prompts on the screen. What makes a good friend? What makes a great course? And when I say course, I mean class. What makes a great concert? I want you to just choose one of those prompts to jot some criteria for. Remember, criteria equals standards. Just choose one topic, one prompt. Good friend, great course, great concert. After you jot your criteria, you should have at least 3 criterion that you've written down, and they can just be one word. Don't have to be a full sentence necessarily. They can be fragments. This is for you. After you jot down your criteria, at least 3. You can have as many as you want, but at least 3. I want you to write a brief reflection on a real-life example of the subject you chose. So write about that great friend. Write about that great class and course. Why was it so great? Write about that great concert. Okay? And I want you to put yourselves on a timer for about 4 minutes for the entire exercise. Okay? So in addition to setting the criteria, in the reflection, you have things like reasons and evidence, and then of course the ultimate judgment. So you kind of have like a mini review essay right there. It's going to be super short. It's only 4 minutes, but you get my point. So you can go ahead and put yourselves on your 4-minute timer. Choose the prompt that you're going to work with, and then you can come back to this recording. Your 4 minutes begins now. All right, so how was that? You've jotted some criteria, you jotted some standards for the particular prompt you chose. You wrote that brief reflection. Like I said, it's a combination. It's a short, like a mini version of what you're going to do for your full essay. You got to make sure you have that criteria. What are those standards by which you are judging? And then you're going to have some reasons on why you believe what you believe. You got to back those reasons up with evidence. And of course, this is going to lead you to an ultimate judgment. So based on this whole idea of evidence, you know, we're going to have to do some research, right? And so I'm going to walk you guys through that process over the next week or so. But we will be doing some research on your particular subject. You guys are going to be like mini experts on your subjects. And so you're going to have some in-text citations for your final draft of your essay and a works cited page. But we'll get deeper into that as we move forward. When it comes to choosing a topic, right, I want you to choose something that you have a strong opinion about. It doesn't have to just be positive. It could be negative, right? Some reviews are bad. So you may have experienced something that you want to write about, and you have you've had a strong reaction to it, and it's a negative one. Choose something that you've experienced recently, okay? I don't want you to focus in on something that happened years ago, right? So I've had students try and write about, for example, Lollapalooza. When they went to Lollapalooza 4 years ago, it was their first concert. That's way too far in the past. I want you to choose something that you've experienced recently, or something that you can experience before we begin writing our paper, or maybe something that you can review again or experience again before the papers actually due. So what I mean by that, let's say you and your family went to a restaurant last week, and you want to write a review on it. And there's no issues. Your schedule is clear. You can go back to that restaurant like next week before we write our sketch, so that you can get some fresh material, have a fresh experience, so that you can write towards that experience, because you're going to have to do some background information, and we do want some vivid detail in your actual review essay. So become a mini expert. Choose something that you can experience again. So read that book again, or watch that film again, right? So I want that to be fresh for you guys, okay? And again, when it comes to your topics, you guys are in charge of choosing what your topics are. I don't give you guys topics at all. It doesn't have to be a film. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. It doesn't have to be a phone. It could be a video game. It can be a process. How has a certain process been for you? Say, for example, dealing with COD and picking up laptops or picking up your books, right? We know that there were some issues with the bookstore. That can be reviewed. That can be evaluated. Anything that pretty much is in our world, in our orbit, can be evaluated / reviewed. Anything. So be open to the different possibilities. So let's do some brainstorming, right? Let's do some invention. I want you to take a fresh sheet of paper. You can draw 3 lines on that sheet of paper. It's best if you lay it out horizontally, right? That long way. Make 3 lines. That'll give you 4 columns. The first column would be things I want. The second would be things that are undecided or up in the air. The third column would be my favorite things. And then the fourth column would be things that suck. Okay, so when I talk about things that are undecided, up in the air, that basically deals with a choice or a decision that you need to make and you haven't gotten around to making it, or you're a little unsure. I want you to put yourselves on a timer. You can put yourselves on a timer for about maybe 3 minutes, and then I just simply want you to list things that come up for that particular column. Things I want. What is it that you want? Right? They can be actual tangible things, or maybe they're more metaphorical. It's completely up to you. At the end of 3 minutes, I want you to review what you have. So go ahead, get yourself set, grab that pen or pencil, get your sheet ready, put yourself on timer for 3 minutes, and go ahead and get down everything that you can that comes up regarding that topic. Try not to scratch anything out. Get it down as sloppy as you can, as fast as you can. Go ahead and begin your 3 minutes now, and then come back to this recording. All right, so you were able to get some things down, right? What I want you to do is review what you have, some of the things that you've listed in those 4 columns. Choose one that has some possibility, one that is provocative, that's pulling on you. I just want you to select one item. It could be from things I want, things that are undecided, my favorite things, or things that suck. Select one item from any of those lists, and then I want you, in writing, to explore your experience with the subjects and or your opinions about them. How have those opinions evolved? So let's do a fast write. So you know, with a fast write, you write as fast as you can, obviously. Get down whatever comes up regarding that particular subject. Get it down. Even if you get distracted, write down what's distracting you. That way your pen or pencil never stops moving. Put yourself on timer for 3 minutes, and then let's do a brain dump regarding that one item that you selected, and then your experience, your opinions, and how those opinions may have evolved over time. Put yourselves on timer, get a fresh sheet of paper. When you're ready, go. All right. So read what you've written. Is this a possibility? Is this particular item that you selected, is it a possibility? You know that if it feels good in your spirit, if it's like, oh wow, this has some possibility. I think I do want to do some more. I want to do some more exploration. I want to do some research. This may be a topic for me. If it's not a topic, if it's not a possibility, if you're not feeling it, you can choose something else from any of your lists, or you can keep inventing, keep brainstorming, right? There are tons of brainstorming activities and exercises in your Curious Writer textbook in Chapter 5. As you are going through your reading response, your first official assignment for this unit, you will find those pages. So make sure you keep inventing. I want to continue on. Setting the expectation. So I've talked for the last 15 minutes about criteria. One of the things we're going to be looking for, in addition to established and clear specific criteria, is you should have some sort of comparison based on the thing that you're selecting. How can your subject be measured against similar subjects? Because what if your reader is unfamiliar with the subject that you're reviewing, right? Explain the basis of the comparison. Example, maybe your reader is unfamiliar with the latest Galaxy version. I think it may be S10, right? They're not familiar with it, but they are familiar with the iPhone. So you doing a comparison with the latest Samsung Galaxy to the latest iPhone, maybe that can help them. There's a video, as a matter of fact, the CNET video, where the Samsung S7 is being compared to the iPhone, whatever version it is. The video's a little old, so we know that we're beyond the versions that they're reviewing, but you'll get the point. Okay, so a comparison, you should be able to compare your subject that you're reviewing to something else in the category so that it is a connection with your audience, right? Even if it's not a compare and contrast type of organizational method you're using, you should still be able to make a comparison to it. That should be a part of your actual essay. Okay. The comparisons should be subjective. What is your definition of quality or effectiveness? You should be really, really blatant on that. Now, even though we're starting with your opinion, this is an evaluation. It is a review. So your opinion is at the very heart of this. You still need some evidence to support why you hold that opinion. Okay. So if I were to say Coke is better than Pepsi, okay, that's my opinion. Because, all right, now we're getting into some, some evidence. Because I'm about to, on the end of that ellipse, provide some evidence, some reasons and some evidence. Capitalism is more effective combined with elements of socialism because, right? I'm stating an opinion, and then this because leads us into our reasons and evidence. So the review essay is persuasive in nature, right? So you have to convince your reader that your opinion is valid. We want them to take heed to our review, pay attention to it, and basically do what we're asking them to do. Buy this thing, go to this place, have this experience, or not, right? It's persuasive in nature, and you need reasons and evidence in order to convince your reader. Okay? When it comes to reasons and evidence, this can be expressed in a few different ways. That reasons and evidence could be testimonials from other people who have experienced the subject being reviewed. You can have some statistical information, or you can have a detailed breakdown description. Be sure to visit pages 160 through 162, and you'll encounter these pages when you do your reading response. In between pages 160 and 162 is a detailed breakdown on criteria and reasons and evidence, right? All right. As you're working through the assignments, like I said, the very first one is the reading response. Just simply follow the steps in the week 8 folder. It's laid out for you guys. Just make sure that you are following the steps. The very first step is to review the assignment sheet and the rubric. Second, take a look at the CNET video, and then begin working on your reader's response assignment. The pages are laid out for you right there in the folder, so it's pretty self-evident. If you have any questions or comments, if you need some clarity on anything, then just simply drop me an email, and then I'll be sure to reach out to you guys. All right, happy studying. Really jump into that reading response and make the content your own, and we will connect in the virtual space as we see fit. Take care, guys.